Touchdown with Dorin, Pat, and Bill Hillgrove. Brought to you by Gatorade, available at Giant Eagle stores. It's also the 50-minute mark on the Fan, brought to you by South Hills Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Route 19 in Peters Township, celebrating 50 years in the South Hills. Bill Hillgrove joins us every single Thursday at 7:50. Good morning to you, Bill. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I think we're all wonderful.
We're great.
What a weekend of collegiate
especially
athletics.
after last night, right? Especially after the celebration last night.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We had a good time.
Yes,
Callis wasn't invited. We were trying not to bring it up. Now you're going to make Callis feel bad, Bill.
Clemson has delivered. They're a solid team. And as Pat and I discussed earlier in the week, I looked at the roster and I said, no transfers. And apparently Dabo doesn't believe in them. So lots of freshmen on the depth chart, but really good players. And I don't know that they've played the toughest conference schedule so far, but they've taken care of business by and large. And, you're 6-1 going to your final conference game. You're in pretty good position. So they're good. It's going to be a big challenge for the Panthers. And apparently we'll have to do it with Nate Yarnell at the quarterback spot.
Yeah, Bill, do you have a lot of faith in Yarnell? I mean, I know he threw 2 picks whenever he was inserted into the game last week, but Yarnell is a guy that was a competition in training camp, and we a lot of us thought that he was going to be the guy to start the season for the Panthers, so he does have that starting quarterback capability. How much faith do you have in Yarnell becoming maybe a hero on Saturday?
Well, he certainly hasn't seen the number of snaps that Eli has, but I think there's promise there. And, 5 touchdowns, 2 picks. That's not a great ratio, but because it's a small sampling. But, I have faith in him. And, I think in the past he's shown a maturity where he, can operate without beating himself. I think that's the key. He's got to avoid beating himself.
Big test for the Panthers on the gridiron Saturday, Billy, with Clemson, but the hardwood is Friday night, and I'm gonna steal thunder from our West Virginia colleague over here, Adam Crowley. Panthers and Mountaineers, first big test for Pitt, which will play a bunch of Power 5 conference teams here upcoming. Break down this matchup between the Panthers and Mountaineers. I think it's a different West Virginia team, certainly than last year.
Yeah, because of the transfers, including the coach's son, who is their leading scorer. They're good. They're solid. I don't know how deep they are, but, I don't know that necessarily will be a factor. But, boy, just what I've seen from the Panthers, I'm just kind of bowled over. This group is superior. The guards, particularly that trio of guards, as good as it gets. It'll be a fun matchup, no question about it. And I don't think West Virginia is coming in here and planning on losing. So it'll be a fight. The backyard brawl, it always is.
Bill, we obviously know that you don't broadcast with the Steelers anymore, but I'm sure that you still pay attention to the Steelers. How good has this team looked this year, in your opinion, and how big is the game against the Ravens on Sunday?
Yeah, well, they're 3-point dogs. The Ravens have one more loss. And, I like the Steelers. I just think, Russell Wilson gives them that ability to see the game slow. He's had so many snaps in his fine career, and he sees the game in a slow fashion. And I think that really helps their offense. I think he's a good fit for Arthur Smith. The addition of Mike Williams, certainly he proved it in the game last week at Washington, even with the snake in the locker room. How that happened, it defies description. But I think if there's a concern, it's the back end of the defense, and I think they've got to play better for this team to be a real contender. But Sunday should tell us a lot about both teams.
Bill, you got a really busy weekend, all right here on 93.7 The Fan. Have a blast. We'll be listening. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, guys. Hail to Pitt, H2P.
Thanks, Billy.
Bill Hillgrove, the great Bill Hillgrove.
He's the best, man.
We're going to get into Steelers-Ravens coming up at the top of the hour. I can't wait for the basketball game tomorrow.
Are you going?
No, I am doing pregame from 6 until 7:30, yeah.
You are. You're gonna
Little extended pregame
look
here.
at you.
Yeah,
You're moonlighting.
I am. Gonna take some calls,
Are you?
think. I hope. Pitt fans and West Virginia fans alike. Maybe I'll allow them to spar a little bit on the air, a little trash talk back and forth if they can keep it clean. That might be fun. Should be a good matchup. I do think Pitt's the better team, and they're in year 7 under Jeff Capel, and this is the first year for Darren DeVries. I will say,
His son's a pro.
He is a stud. He's a genius. He really is.
Good player.
Tucker DeVries, he gets it. He's a facilitator. He's a 6'7" wing. So I do think it'll be more of a challenge for the Panthers than last year for some obvious reasons. The other guy didn't quite know how to coach. No offense to him, put in a tough position. But I think, as Bill mentioned, what has cost Pitt the last couple of years? Certainly last season not getting into the tournament. A, bad start. B, the schedule, I guess, wasn't good enough. Neither of those two things are true this year. 3-0 already, and you got Ohio State coming up. So I think Pitt, if they just continue to play this way, they're going to find enough quality non-conf wins to get into the tournament, because I think they're going to do what they've done the last couple of years in the ACC.
I agree. I mean, and Murray State tested them. I was at that game on Friday, and they tested them. But the thing that's Bill mentioned it about this team is, one of those three guards, Dunn, Leggett in particular lately, and then Jalen Lowe, they just turned into gear. And when they want to put you away, they put you away.
Yeah.
And that's what's, teams will mess around and hang around, and then they just knockout punch them. And then what's been interesting, I think that it's been understated, is Guillermo Diaz-Graham moving to the 4.
Mm-hmm.
It's put him in a little bit more exposure from a defensive perspective. But, man, having him outside, he shot 41% from 3 in ACC play last year.
Yeah.
At 7 foot. I mean, you talk about a weapon. And then you got Corhan down low. This team has some real pieces. I think it's the best team Pitt's had in a long time. But tomorrow's, it's going to ratchet up in a number of ways. Competition, atmosphere, that place is going to be lit.
Yes.
I mean, there's a volleyball match at 5. Those people will be coming down. Students will be fired up. They'll be burning the midnight oil, getting ready for the next day at Acrisure. Should be a really fun weekend of sports in Pittsburgh. I mean, then you got Steelers-Ravens Sunday. I mean, you kidding me?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, if this was back in our day, we could have possibly had a weekend where you had the football backyard brawl and basketball.
Yeah, I know.
Friday, Saturday.
I wanted to go back to November.
Right?
Me too.
have that.
I wanted to go back to.
Sorry, Pat. I would actually prefer the basketball game be played later in the season. Just you know who you are, and it feels like it's more important the later it gets.
Well, who knows? Someday it may, because someday Panthers and Mountaineers may be in a conference together. Who knows?
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Who knows? But I'm glad. Listen, I've said this before. I'll say it again and again and again. I'm glad they're playing again.
Yes.
In everything, and it should happen every single year without any pause. I know that's easier said than done. The intricacies of scheduling are legitimate. However, I think we've realized these past few years in football, and certainly in basketball when both teams are good, that the backyard brawl, it's national in nature.
And you've said this too, it's not just football, it's in everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what separates it from some other rivalries across the country.